driving me nuts. Notice that this is the chair that Mr. Chirp always sleeps in.
Yeah.
It's Mom's chair.
Oh, my hair is kind of weird. Does it look okay?
I mean, you're in that stage of like hair growing out. You can really, you're starting to
What's
like.
going on?
Do you want to go comb it really quick?
No, I mean, I feel like it's trying to go forward.
Well, you combed it back for the first time, and your hair is very curly.
Is that better?
I don't know what it looks like on camera, really.
I mean, what does it look like to you?
Like your hair is long and curly and growing out. Okay, wait.
This is hypercritical. I can't just go right into it. We have to like at least be like, how's it going?
I just like when you ask me, your wife,
Yeah.
who lives in the same house, we both work from home, we have coffee together every morning.
Mm-hmm.
We stop and take breaks throughout the day to go walk around like the backyard.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you go, so what's up? Tell me about yourself. I'm like, what are you?
I don't know what's going on in your head.
But you do, because I tell you
Yeah, but
all of the things.
What's really going on in there?
That's not
There's some
appropriate for this
fucked up
That's
shit
not
going
for this
on.
podcast.
I'm trying to get my microphone over here because I feel like sometimes I end up talking to you
Yeah.
and it's like over here. Yeah. So
I
I'm
don't really pay attention to those things, so I don't know.
trying to keep it in front of me.
I'm just worried about like doing this by accident and
Yeah,
having it
coming
like
out
way
of
too
your
high.
face.
Yeah. And by the way, I move this however I want now. I don't listen
Yeah,
to you
that's
anymore.
fine. Okay. That's weird, but
As the man of the house, I would think you would listen to everything I tell you to do.
what you're supposed to do. Oops.
Sorry if this makes a noise, but it's just gonna bother me.
You're always picking at something.
Have you met me?
Like not even just on the podcast, just in life.
I know. I'm like the monkey in that video I sent you on Instagram today who peels the banana and it's like there's strings on it.
Wouldn't it be peel? Yeah, peel's a banana.
What did I start to say though?
Unpeel.
Unpeel.
You just like glue it back together.
Merp, merp.
Gotta unpeel this. But I feel like people say that. Do people say that?
No, nobody says
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's not a thing anyone says.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, because it's weird.
Better not. But this is Hypercritical, the podcast where two entitled people have opinions about lots of things. Like whether you say peel or unpeel or anything else like that.
No, there's no opinion there. No one says unpeel.
It's an opinion.
Okay.
It's debatable. I'm Spencer, and this is my co-host Shannon. And what are we drinking? Oh, episode 10.
No.
Double digits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, remember turning 10? It was such a big deal because it was double digits.
No.
My best friend, her birthday was a month before me, and it was always such a big deal. And like she always made it oh, well, I turned 10 first, and I'm a teenager first. I'm like, my birthday is in like 30 days.
Yeah.
But you can
Also, like, you didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like people who get made fun of for their name. I'm like, hey,
that was my parents.
they had
made that
nothing
decision.
to do with that.
Yeah. Or like, anything genetic, really. Like,
Right.
you're short. Like, oh, I really fucked up.
I thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
You almost had a name that would open you up to a lot of conversation. I don't even mean that in a negative way. It's just like...
You mean my middle name being my first name?
Yeah, your middle name was almost your first name.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool, but like, dear God, no one would know.
I already
ever.
have to explain my last name to everybody every single time.
Which is why I don't have the same
Yeah.
last name as you.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Your middle name's pretty cool. I mean, we can't just like leave it there and not say... You want me to say
Let's
it?
talk about it. What's your middle name?
Michelle. Normal, boring. Yours is Sinjin, which I think is very cool. It always reminds me of Mad Men, one of the like executives in London that they like steal the company from, basically.
It's a really like British.
But it looks like St. John.
Yeah, I think it's like a British name, pretty common.
I've never met one.
I've never met one either. I mean, there's a few like, I think there's like a character from a show or something. And,
is there a story behind your mom wanting to name you that?
I think
Wasn't
there
it
was
a volleyball
like
player?
a famous, volleyball player or something that was.
Does your mom like volleyball?
She was probably like following, something.
I've never heard your mom talk about volleyball.
And the guy was like, doing well. And she was like, that's a cool name. Like, not like she was like, I'm a huge fan of this guy. And like,
just she heard it and was like,
go to all his games or whatever, like she was like, that's a cool name. I think I'd use that.
I think her doctor talked her out of it. Like when you were being born. Yeah. He was like, make it the middle name. Don't do it.
There's some story like that with a name with me or my brothers. I can't remember if it was mine or one of the others. I think maybe it was AJ.
Whoever they are.
Like, I feel like
AJ's name is like super normal.
But I think he was going to have a weird name, and it was like, don't do it. And then they went with AJ or like Andrew James. But
I'm pretty sure it happened with you too.
Yeah, probably.
I remember your family stories better than you sometimes.
Yeah, I don't remember anything. I can barely remember, what year I was born. So like,
yeah. I always remember that. I forget how old I am.
Yeah.
And then I try to do math, and I'm like, I don't know.
I do want to, I don't want to derail us too much, but I was like...
Derail from what?
I was like, speaking of like remembering things, I think like, because we, this is the most conversation I have ever,
Have you ever talked to anyone as long? Well, Jason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like...
You've talked to Jason probably as long.
But like, we end up talking about like our... past, like talking about like where we worked and, stuff we did as teenagers and stuff like that. And like, it's the only time I ever, and then I get on these like nostalgic, like trying to figure stuff out. Like we're however many weeks ahead. We're on episode 10. We released episode 4 today.
Should people know that?
Yeah. It's no big deal. It's not like this is news. If we ever like, we can bump one up.
What if we're ahead an embarrassing amount?
Well, I think it'll only be 6.
Okay.
Until we like sit in this 1 week, we sit down and we like record 5 episodes or something like that. But you're like, we can do that?
No, I just definitely don't want to do that. We'd be so drunk.
Oh God, that would be
forgot about that part, didn't
you? Yeah. And then people are like, we like change shirts between episodes, but like we get progressively more drunk.
We start with brunch cocktails, and then like switch to like screwdrivers, and then Irish coffee.
We'd like try to play it off. The other thing is that we always film at night.
Oh, true.
So we'd have to like stay up late.
Anyway.
Or the lighting would change.
Anyway. I've derailed your derailment.
Yeah. But I would like, so like we'll talk about something like last week. Now I'm confused about the numbers. Today we released episode 4 in which we were talking about like when I worked at the movie theater and stuff.
Oh, right.
And so like I was like, and you said something while we were watching about like, you should find the guy that was the projection manager and like,
did you?
And like tell him no. I was awake at like 4:30 in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep, and I was like, what the fuck was his name?
I want you to figure it out so you can tag him.
And like he might not even have like,
well, true.
He was probably in his like mid 30s or 40s 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So like he might not be on social media. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember his name. I think his first name was Paul. I can't remember his last name. I'm getting him mixed. Like my memory, I like blend people.
Yeah.
And so like I'm mixing him with another boss I had, and it's just like I don't know what his last name was. But if anybody knows who the projection manager was when I worked at Cinemark,
the Cinemark Legacy location in Plano, Texas. 15 years ago. No, God.
20 years.
19 years ago. Good God.
He probably does not want to hear from me based on the story that we told.
He never forgot. I saw something on Instagram today that was like, do you ever think about like, are there people out there talking about you? Not like gossip, but like you're the story they tell. Yeah. Like I was at a Costco and I saw a girl drop a hot dog and she picked it up and ate it. And like, you think that no one ever sees the things that you do, and you're like, I'm someone's story, and like you are Paul's story, like this goddamn kid.
He's like the warning that he tells every hire that he gets.
He cried the day that they switched to all digital. Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah. I did see that. Like I was looking up anything I could, like Googling, and like what's hard is that we're so used to having like all the information ever. Like whenever we want it.
Oh my God! And you're like, you can't look.
And like you can't look up who was the manager.
Not yet.
20 years ago.
It's gonna be a thing.
And like So and then other stuff like that. But I was looking through like anything I could, and there was like an article from like the City magazine or something from that. And it wasn't about him. It was about that theater when they switched to like all digital.
Oh.
And like it was something about how like all the projectors are controlled from like the corporate office. Like there's not even like projectionists necessarily, like probably for maintenance and stuff, but like my job in that case has been like replaced by technology.
There's like a headline from Cinemark, like Cinemark's move was motivated by
when some idiot kid who will not be named destroyed however many thousands of dollars in film.
The new Tom Cruise movie.
I need to look back. I wanted to do that. I want to look back.
When you said that, I'm like, we could figure
what
this
year
out.
was it? Look through all the releases and like try to figure out what movie it is.
When we were 16, 17. Well, we talked about this too because you had just turned 17 a few months before moving to work at Bed Bath & Beyond. So you're probably 16.
Yeah, 16 or 17.
We could figure out what year it was.
Probably early.
It's probably
17,
a Mission Impossible movie.
I don't think I worked there that long after I did that. I think it was
Makes
like,
sense.
I was like, fuck this place.
It's really dumb anyway.
They don't appreciate me. But
I want to drink my drink.
Yeah. So what are we drinking?
To talk about it first. Yeah. So this is the second attempt of the evening on the drinks. I really want to start experimenting with more and more like classic cocktails. And like we are absolutely stuck. Yeah. In our Negroni Manhattan Vesper rotation, which like I love those drinks. Those are classics. But I just feel like it's gonna get a little bit boring. Be like Manhattans again. Yeah.
Well, for who? We've been doing that for 3-4 years now, so like it doesn't get boring.
Well, true. But then we won't talk about it, and it's not a thing, and I want it to be a thing. So these look like Negronis, but they are actually Boulevardiers. Yeah. Which is almost exactly the same. You just do bourbon instead of gin.
So it's Campari, vermouth, and bourbon.
Yes. And side note, I was in Vail for work this week, and I met with this team, and we got dinner, and the waitress comes out.
Did somebody say Boulevardier?
No, but on the menu, it just flat out said Negroni. Yeah. And I was like, "You sure about that?" Mm-hmm. So I go to look. Oh, sorry. Cheers. Yeah.
Is this like a heavier pour than normal?
No, it's the glass is too small. It's just different enough from a Negroni that it's a nice change.
Yeah, it's not as like sharp.
You always enunciate your P's like a lot.
It's a pea pop.
Is that like a term?
I don't know.
It is now. Your P's really pop.
No, but do you want to tell a story about why we're drinking Boulevardiers?
Let me finish this first.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm looking at the menu and they're like, yeah, let's all get it. We all want cocktails. Let's get cocktails first. And so I honestly was like not in the mood for one because the elevation difference between Dallas and Vail is really painful. And like I had a headache, but I was like, I want to be part of the team. Yeah. I'm going to get a cocktail with everybody else. And this guy gets a Negroni and I like look and I'm like, okay, Campari, check. Yeah. Carpano Antica, double check. Excellent. Yeah. Perfect vermouth. And then like some kind of orange liqueur prosecco. I was like, what are you doing?
Why are you adding ingredients?
I don't even know if there was gin. So he ordered it.
Oh, so it was like a Negroni Spagliato or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Which like say that though. Don't just say Negroni and mislead people. Yeah. But it was kind of funny. Like I'm new to this group and I like showed my true colors pretty quickly because he ordered one and I go, can I have a classic Negroni please? And they were like,
oh wow.
I'm a total snob when it comes to stuff like that. But story of why we're drinking these. You told that already.
No, I was gonna say like you had a plan for another drink.
Oh right, yeah.
You were gonna make daiquiris.
Like classic daiquiris, not like frozen sugary shit daiquiris, like lime juice, simple syrup, rum.
And
I did make.
You made them, and I came downstairs from like getting stuff ready and finishing up my work and all that. And it's actually still over there. You like handed it to me, and I took a sip, and I'm like, I don't care for that.
This tastes like a.
It tastes like a bad margarita.
It is like a bad margarita. Honestly, when I've had them, I really like them, and it feels like more summery. And again, I wanted to just try something different.
And maybe it could just be, because cocktails, it's the specific ingredients, but like the type of those ingredients, like the brand of rum.
And I don't know rum.
All the other stuff can.
I cannot get. I have like
Don't know.
Smoker's throat or something. Like, what is that?
I've had a really bad cough all week. I think it's like allergy stuff with all
I'm
the
an annoying throat clearer by nature. So this is just not good.
But all the ingredients can be like variation. Yeah. We know. No. All the ingredients can be variations, and like you have to find the right combination of like the right brand of rum.
It's the same with margaritas.
But with like at least that, like it just felt like it was good, but it just tasted like a much sweeter margarita.
Yeah.
And you know that's understandable. Like we were talking about, like tequila has a lot less sugar in it than rum does. You know, I think rum is like generally a sweeter. It's
made from sugar cane.
Alcohol. So like you're just adding more sugar into the mix, and you know that's good. But it's also like it's kind of been like cloudy. It's warm, but it's humid. It doesn't feel like summery margarita. Whether if we were like sitting outside and it was sunny and hot. And like dry, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Bring on the daiquiri. But it's like dark and kind of cloudy and
kind of
like
gross right now.
Humid and like doesn't feel summery necessarily.
That's a good point.
So like I came downstairs and I was just like, pick something else.
You took one sip and you go, I think I would like something else.
Well, you were like, you're like, well, I can try to adjust the ratios and stuff for the podcast. And I was like, no, make me something else.
I even did a really cool like lime swirl cut thing, which I kind of recreated with the orange. So there's that.
Yeah.
Oh well. I want to talk about your shirt.
Yeah, my gecko shirt.
Cause you just got a pink shirt on. Yeah. But you're manly enough, you can handle it. But like,
I don't know how well that's gonna pick up on the camera. Also, you did it right behind the microphone. So
I did it in the one purple spot. Everything else is pink.
It's
running hot, I guess.
Whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. It's 90s technology.
So was this like a big thing in the 90s?
It's like early 90s technology.
Where like the warmer you get, the more pink it is.
Yeah, and then also if it gets any moisture on it, it like turns purple. I guess it cools it down. I don't know, or like it just affects the fabric. So like inevitably you just have like very obvious wherever you're sweating.
It's like pink right here.
Yeah, wherever you're sweating, it's very obvious. But it's cool. I like it.
I do too.
I think it was one of those. Instagram has figured me out with shirts.
It really has.
And so like I'll get a shirt ad and I'm like, ooh.
You'll send it to me and you're like, I want this shirt. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it ships from China. Yeah. So is it worth?
And the color change fabric is actually causing cancer. Okay, but
that's not funny.
Every time you wear it, a few years off your life. But at least it looks cool to you. Nobody else.
Right. Because you don't like wear that in public. It's not like you're going out.
Also, nobody thinks this is cool.
Oh, I do. I like it. Yeah. Okay, so earlier today, I even like made a special stop to make sure we had rum and limes, just so you know. And I even like looked up like, because I really don't know rum, and I like looked it up like what light rum should I get for a classic daiquiri, and I had to be like really far north for this doctor's appointment this afternoon, and so on the way home, I stopped. I just like looked up like Total Wine. And I look and I'm like, oh my God, it's like the old stomping grounds. It's next door, 2 doors down from the Bed Bath & Beyond where we met. She's so cute. Like her amazing dolphin pose.
She's so good at stretching. Yeah.
She really is.
Between when we talked about Bed Bath & Beyond, we've already talked about this on the podcast. They went out of business. I think we mentioned it last week or the week before.
Yeah, probably. It's all starting to run together. But it's still really weird to me. Like that headline just feels like the end of an era. But it was weird being back in that parking lot because we never go up there.
Yeah, no.
And even when we go to like my mom's house, we exit before that, so we don't even.
You were in that parking lot.
I was in the parking lot.
I thought you were at the other one.
Which one?
Addison.
Oh no, that's gone. That's a Whole Foods now.
That's right.
Which is weird to me. Like that was like an iconic,
but you were in
like
that
2-story
like where we would like walk out to our cars and walk over to the Chick-fil-A and walk to the CVS for lunch and stuff.
So I went to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it feels nostalgic. I'm hungry. It's right there. And yeah, Bed Bath & Beyond is just like, it's all still there. There's still like the signage and like the cart corral things and everything. So it's just, I like pictured the little spot where Chris's Jeep was. Like we were always like backed into his parking spot.
Yeah.
I always remember pulling up and being like, fuck. Because you'd see
Rick's Camaro.
You'd see whose car it was. Oh my God. Oh, that poor man. I loved him. no sauce.
He was the coolest guy.
He was like, Dad, he'd give me $10 and be like, go to Wendy's, you get yourself something. You get me a number 3 no sauce. I'm on a diet.
Yeah. And yeah, we then later figured out or learned when he was arrested at the store that
for embezzling.
He had been embezzling, stealing money from the safe and stuff. And like, this register's short $5 or $10 or $20.
But I feel.
And that's why he had his Camaro or whatever.
It happened when, he was using the money for his son's wedding. It was like a whole thing.
Supposedly.
Brandon.
Yeah.
How do you remember these things?
I don't know.
His name was Brandon. But the thing that was really weird about that for me was that like I worked customer service for a very long time at that store. And I closed with managers, which meant I closed registers.
Yeah, well,
and I collected cash.
I counted the registers sometimes too.
Like with him.
Yeah.
So how was he doing it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he would give us something to count, and we said, "Oh, that's right," but he had already. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Man, I don't know either. But it was weird because I was like, I didn't steal anything. I wasn't an accomplice. I promise. Yeah. Well, I was really sensitive to that because my mom always worked for this guy, like as long as she's been in Dallas, like as long as she was married to my dad. And they worked out of a house in Dallas. And there was like, my mom's counterpoint worked for a different broker.
Yeah.
And this woman was like unmarried, did really well. And we just didn't question it. She like gave my mom jewelry. They went antique shopping. She paid for everything, all of this stuff. And then one day my mom was like, we're not going to see Linda anymore. And I was like, why? And I'm like 12. And my mom like told me the whole thing. And she fully had just been stealing from this guy because he just was like, you handle it, you handle it. And then like my first boss was kind of like that, of like, I don't know, you take care of it. And I was like, I'm going to make you look at what I'm doing because I am never going to be accused of this. Yeah. Oh my God. So I'm at Chick-fil-A. Yeah. And again, feeling all the nostalgic feels, and I'm in the drive-thru and it's really backed up. There's like 2 lanes, but they're like full. So it's taken a while. Yeah. And you pull up now and it's like people standing outside to take your order. Although you can still eat inside. There are a bunch of people in there.
Well, they do like the weird drive-thru. I don't know why I guess maybe so that they can they have more time to prepare the food because they're taking the order when you're further back in line.
That's true.
I don't know.
It's some like carryover COVID days.
Yeah.
Dining rooms closed thing. But I'm in line and I'm like turning the corner. No, sorry, backing up. I like place my order with this guy, and you know what they're like at Chick-fil-A. Like my pleasure, like they're very like trained. And so I pay and he's like, have a great day. And I was like, thanks so much. And he goes, God bless you. I literally go, because I didn't want to think I was laughing at him necessarily, but I literally could not believe it. I was like, what are the chances? Yeah. The last episode we released is the God Bless You one where we explained the Seinfeld episode. It was so funny.
Very poorly. I still feel like I don't understand that episode, but that's all right.
I didn't do it justice, and I'm not going to try again, but it's good. It's a good
think
one.
Afterwards, when we were like running errands the next day or over the next weekend, we like nailed it. We were like, oh, that's funny. Yeah. I get it now. But yeah, we don't have to go back.
It's not quite there.
Trust us, we're funny. Please believe us. It's not on camera, but we do say funny things.
Jerry, I promise. Yeah. No, okay, so then I'm like turning the corner. Yeah. And as I turn the corner, I'm like, oh, Frank's memorial stone.
What happened to him?
I don't know, but do you remember him?
Yeah.
We've never talked about him. We haven't talked about him since we worked at Bed Bath & Beyond. I can't really even picture him.
I kind of can. It's again one of those things where like I can kind of picture him, but he like melds with everybody that looks similar.
He reminds me of the guy who we used to see at the porch and Good to Go Taco.
No, he was younger than that.
Big mustache. Oh, was he?
He was much younger. He was like probably just a few years older.
I just remember you walking back over after your break one day and you looked really upset and you were like, Frank died. Yeah. And what did he give you for free? He gave you like a whole bag full of stuff.
Yeah, he was just like a Chick-fil-A worker.
He was so nice.
Like guy that worked at Chick-fil-A.
Was like manager level?
No, I don't think so.
Just giving away free food.
Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he's like an assistant manager. I think
he was.
But he was there and like, we would go there regularly because in the parking lot. It was like that or like a burger place around the corner. And like, I never drove to get lunch.
I did occasionally, and it was never a good idea. You don't have enough time.
It's 30 minutes. You don't have time. And like occasionally me and Demetrius, who I worked with. Yeah, that's right. We did have an hour.
You had an hour if you were receiving.
We were working in receiving. He was the receiving manager. I was working with him.
He was so cool.
And we would go to Wingstop. And you would go with us sometimes. I guess sometimes you would be able to, like, when we had a good manager working with us, we're like, can I take an hour?
Well, and we would tell them, we're like, we'll all be gone at the same time. It's quiet. And we get back, we're all back. No one's taking breaks. Like, we fully got them to agree to it.
Yeah. So we would always go to Chick-fil-A. And, like, he was probably, like, maybe in his 30s. And I remember, like, he was just always really nice and, like, oh, how's it going? Like, he probably knew that we worked in the same area or, like, across the parking lot.
Why else is he wearing a pink polo shirt tucked into khakis?
And I mean, there was one day where I think it was like Christmas, like it was right around Christmas. And I like walked in and I ordered my food. And like, I was also like, especially like in my early 20s, late teenagers, or whenever we worked there, probably late teenagers, just kind of like sullen, never make eye contact with anybody, just kind of like.
Well, you also have like your public persona that's very like deep voice and serious. So like you probably were putting that out there.
And I also was like, the girl that I liked didn't like me back, so I was just like depressed all the time.
Oh my God, blame it on me.
And I never had like a conversation with him really, just like, cordial
just pleasantries.
And like I ordered my food, whatever it was, chicken sandwich, or I for a while I was getting like the chicken wraps pretty regularly.
Those are good. I used to get those a lot too.
Yeah. And he's like, here, take this. And it's like a whole bag. And it was just like filled with like all the desserts that they sell, like brownies and like whatever else they had. And I was like, what is this? He's like, oh, Merry Christmas. And he like, and I like took it back and I like put it on the table or whatever
I'm sure I was very excited.
The break room. But yeah, he was just a super nice guy. And then there was one day, I feel like there was a while where like I wasn't going there as often, or like maybe it was when I was working receiving. Yeah. So like, we would either go to Wingstop like once a week or like go somewhere once a week. And most of the rest of the time we would like, or maybe this was a supplemental thing just because we were like working and then, like you're unpacking boxes and unloading trucks all day. So it's like tiring. Yeah. But like we had a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter. And
I forgot about that. And you just made foldovers?
Yeah. We would just like stop and make a sandwich.
Such a college thing.
Yeah. And we would always be like, man, we should get a mini fridge down here. It's just like.
Someone brings a 6-pack of beer and then someone's getting fired.
Yeah. But yeah, I went back one day after I hadn't been there for a while, and there was like I feel like there was a thing at one point that was like "Get well soon,"
or something like that,
like on their like little menu board or whatever outside. And then we figured out that he passed away.
I just love that Chick-fil-A put up like a memorial stone, and Spencer, that was like 15 years ago, and it is still there. And I had totally forgotten about him, so like I saw it and like had a whole moment of like, holy shit. It's still there, and like it's gonna be there as long as there's a Chick-fil-A.
It's pretty crazy.
Texans love Chick-fil-A. That's also the place where I convinced you and that girl Alexis that we worked with that sometimes
might watch the podcast.
Oh, I think she does. Yeah. I bet she remembers this.
Yeah.
I convinced you. We weren't dating yet, and she was one of those people. Everyone we worked with loved watching you and me. Yeah. Because everyone knew you had a crush on me, and like Robbie, who worked upstairs in like the office where you can like look down and see everything, she would call me shark bait because you would like circle around me so much. It was so funny. And so everyone takes credit. They're like, oh, I made that happen. I knew. And I'm like,
and like my mom claims like, cause she was still like picking me up from work, even though it was like 30 minutes, like a 30-minute drive. Yeah. And like, I know my brother too, like my brother would
watch 24.
He would get there the Corolla. And like he'd been working all day, and so he'd like in the Corolla, and then also he had that like Bronco that was like,
oh, I forgot about that.
It was like,
that was a cool car.
Yeah. And he'd just be like watching something on his phone. He was like an early adopter of like some sort of like satellite type.
Of course he was. Some
sort of thing that could connect to the internet so you could stream without being on data.
Of course he was. That's amazing.
And so, yeah, he would watch 24, just like shows.
I don't know why I remember that.
So many times I'd come out and he'd just be like, pass. Yeah, that's like the AJ passed out.
I remember seeing it a lot too, and you'd be like, I'll drive home. Yeah. Scoot over. So funny.
But yeah, so my mom is, she used to claim, and I'm sure she's still, she was probably right, but she used to say like, the first time, my like first day of work, picking me up and being like, so who's that girl that you like? You're like, what are you talking about?
So cute. Do you know, there's one person to credit, genuinely, and I actually don't know if I've ever told you this, because like Alexis claims it, Robbie claims it, Teresa claims it, all these people. My friend Kelly from college, she was like my sophomore year roommate. She's still a very good friend of mine. There was one day in like late summer between sophomore and junior year, we were all at Lake Texoma, which like Texas loves to name things in combination with adjoining states. Yeah. So it's Oklahoma and Texas, and then there's like Texarkana. And then there's randomly Port Aransas, which is absolutely nowhere near anything that you would think. You think it's a combo thing, but it's like South Texas.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's like a combo at all.
I think it's just me.
Why don't we do... What's over there?
I don't know what direction that is.
And well, wait, north.
Wait, what do you think all of the adjoining states are?
West. New Mexico?
Shit. Yes. I always forget if it's Arizona or New Mexico. I think it's New Mexico. And Arizona borders California. I really hope that's the case.
We're smart. Well, we never go that way. I mean, we've been to Marfa, but it's such a long...
we've been to Nevada and California countless times.
Yeah, but we driving go that way. Or something. Like, you don't go through New Mexico. You always go north. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's just see. Oh, globe. Wow, globe level. Yeah, New Mexico, then Arizona, then California.
Tex New Mexico didn't make the cut.
Texaco.
That's a gas station.
Anyway, I just remember I was out there with my friends, like my college friends, and Kelly and I were talking, and I think you and I had just started being really like sassy to each other. Yeah. We always were. We were like awful to each other. Yeah. But through like Facebook messages, which I think we talked about before, which is like you didn't text. Like that was how we talked.
Yeah, but we did talk about that at one point, but I still can't get over it. And like I deleted my Facebook last year, actually, like way after I should have. I like archived it. I think we talked about this too. I archived it and everything. But I just want to reiterate that like if you're the same age as us and you were active on Facebook, go delete your Facebook now. Yeah. Like
there's just no
at
reason.
Face value, like if you just click on your profile, you're like, oh yeah, it's just my profile picture, whatever recently happened. You can dig back and it's all the cringeworthy, like embarrassing, terrible stuff that you were doing.
I saw something recently that was like
when you were 17 years old.
It's a haunted house, but it's just your old Facebook statuses from college and high school. It was so bad. I did that once, and I went back in my old messages, and I was like, delete, and it was like the other person will still see these, and I'm like, shit. Yeah. And you like call them up and come to an agreement and be like, listen, this needs to be deleted for everybody.
I think it'll say like if you delete it, it'll say like user deleted, and it won't say their name, but like you can still put together who it was. It doesn't disappear.
I found ours.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what, when I was looking back at our stuff, and like we're married now, like, and it wasn't, we weren't being like,
don't worry, darling moment.
We weren't being like crass or like really inappropriate. We were like saying stuff that was maybe inappropriate, referencing stuff that was maybe inappropriate. And like, I think my mom called me out at one point because like we were in a group that was like Bed Bath & Beyond sucks or something like that. Well, we worked there, and it was just fully public. It didn't matter
then. It wasn't the same.
That's
funny.
It was like one of our conversations that we were having, and I was just like, oh god, like kind of cringing to myself and laughing at it, and then I realized that it was fully like somebody liked something.
Oh my god, we were talking on each other's walls. Yeah. Like, remember when that was a thing?
Somebody like laughed at something, and I was like, wait, this is in public space. Anybody can read. This isn't a private message. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? God. Anyway, that's a total, and we've already talked about that, but I just want to reiterate, like,
delete your Facebook. You don't need it anymore.
You can archive it. All the messages will go into a little file. Oh. You can go back and read them if you ever want to. You never will. all the pictures will collect. They're from 15 years ago, so they're like
really bad quality.
150 by 150 pixels, so like you're not missing anything. But like, you know, you can archive it and you have it. It's off the internet, and yeah, use a new social media platform. Yep. Like, just like.
So the funny thing is, we have all of our private messages printed out in a box.
Yeah.
And maybe sorry if that's a little too embarrassing to share, but it was like our like 1 year wedding anniversary or something, or something like that. And you had like printed it all out.
Yeah.
And so like we could literally like, honestly, we should look and like share like an example of some of the back and forth. I bet it's so bad.
Yeah. We'll put it up on the screen someday. But what were you going to say?
I don't know. It's been like 15 minutes since. No, it's okay. That's what we do.
You brought up Facebook for
no, my friend Kelly.
Yeah.
So it was the summer in between sophomore and junior year, and like sophomore year of college, I'm not going to elaborate, but I was not in a good place. It was a hell of a year. Like I had fun at the time, but then towards the end of the year, it was like, maybe I'm going to go home on weekends. Maybe I'm going to go home all summer. Maybe I'm done for a while. And we started dating that fall.
I like to think about like us at that time, you know, like in our respective
20 years old.
So we were both out of high school. Because you were in college.
Between sophomore and junior year of
So I
college.
was going to community college.
Still working.
And like working full time.
Bed Bath & Beyond.
At Bed Bath & Beyond. And like probably just playing World of Warcraft or the same Final Fantasy 11 game that I play to this day. You know, I was basically doing what I do right now. Like I was the exact same person, just poor. And
remember you saved the pay stub for that paycheck that was like $1,000.
Yeah.
Now like when you work a retail job for $10 an hour, I mean, you worked a lot.
Well, yeah, we like, cause especially, and I can't remember what we talked about or not, but like we would take on overtime all the time. Cause like I was going to community college. I had like 2 or 3 classes. And you know, I was just working the rest of the time. And like when you were working, cause you were working at the other store and like,
and you would take shifts there because they were understaffed.
They were understaffed. So they'd be like, we'll give you overtime if you come work. And I'm like, yep, Shannon's there. I'll come work. Yeah. Like,
there were way more restaurants by that location, so I loved going there because they just had way more to choose from.
And also, like, you were the like foreigner, you know, like you were like the person coming in from outside.
Oh, they loved
like,
us.
They would like they wouldn't like give you the shit tasks to do. You would basically just like,
oh, he's special and he's helping, so just don't scare him off. Yep. God, 3rd time, maybe 4th. My friend Kelly.
Yeah. But you have to think of
this is like my life though. Like you're making a joke, but like this is it most of the time where I'm like, you go ahead. Kelly is the one to credit because we were talking, it was like the end of the day. It was like a long kind of like boozy day. And I was just like deliberating whether or not I should like start dating you. Cause I didn't date anybody. Like I didn't like the idea of it.
You were just like out there, like describe the scenario to me. Cause like, what is deliberating? Were you just like,
I didn't have a pros and cons. It's not a romantic
like
comedy.
Pulling the petals
movie.
off of a flower.
I don't know. I can't remember like what my like hesitation was. Just I think it just boiled down to like not dating anyone. I didn't in high school. I didn't in college. Like I just didn't do that.
Right.
I just wasn't interested in it really. And Kelly was kind of just like some nicer version of like, will you just shut up and go out with him? Like, why are you so like, what do you do? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. And then we started dating and that was it. So of all the people who take credit, Kelly is the one that like actually shifted things.
It is funny, like thinking back, especially all the things that we've done together and like all the ridiculous conversations and scenarios we've been in and like thinking back and like putting yourself back in that scenario where you're like, oh, she messaged me on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Come here.
He's not going to stay there for more than like 12 seconds.
He's so cute.
Hi.
I had something else I wanted to ask you about, and now I can't think exactly what it was. Oh, earlier you were talking about finding the projection manager.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes me think of basically like we've always like had drinks together at home. Like we're pretty big on that.
Yeah.
And last summer it got highlighted because my job got really stressful suddenly.
Right.
And so there were just like a lot of nights where it was like, let's just sit and commiserate and vent. And then it turned into like strategizing.
Yeah.
But like in doing that, you know, we're listening to music a lot and you start to get sick of like the same old stuff. And so I made like a cocktail playlist that's like Elton John, Rolling Stones. And I listen to that all the time. But one night it was like, man, remember what we were listening to on the radio when we were like in junior high and you had like, all of us had the big like stereo with the speakers that you could separate. And
the
that
two
was
big
so
speakers.
cool. Right.
And then you had the big rectangular thing with a CD player on top. The thing, two cassettes on the front. Yeah. and like, it was just this a bunch of different companies making different models of the exact same
Oh my
thing.
God, totally. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like Sony.
Yeah.
What else?
Panasonic, like all
of
the electronics companies. Yeah.
And I remember splitting up the speakers all the time. My brother would just be like, the sound is better if they are together. Like, stop doing that. But like, you know, when you're a kid,
Mine,
you like rearrange your room.
OCD, mine always had to be like stereo speakers. You know, like stereo in the middle, speakers right next to it touching.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I would like rearrange my room all the time and like spread the speakers out.
Yeah. It's like not a surround sound system. It's just, you know, it's not. It
right. I mean,
know,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. These aren't the like
But also like when
speakers.
you're 12 years old, you don't understand how
anything
like
works.
Somebody told you like the sound quality is better like this, but like you don't really appreciate it. You're not like, oh, the acoustics are off.
I think it's really just like an empowerment thing when you're that age. Like you wanted to have control over anything you possibly could get your hands on. Yeah. So it was just like, I'm going to rearrange my room tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stay up all night. And like you have school the next day and hi, buddy. So we started talking about music we were listening to when you had to listen to the radio. And like when I was growing up, I don't know what it was like in East Plano, but like there was the oldies station playing like 50s, maybe some 60s. And then there was classic rock, which I hated. Yeah. Like I couldn't stand it. Now I love it.
Like Metallica?
No, like Eagles.
Okay.
Which by the way, when people say the Eagles, I'm like,
it's actually Eagles.
It's just Eagles.
And it sounds better if you separate the speakers actually.
Okay, but it's actually Eagles.
Yeah.
It's just tough. It's hard. Like even for me, like it's hard for people to say the Eagles.
Yeah.
But he's so fucking cute. It's ridiculous. Can't quite see him.
Yeah.
But oldies, classic rock, and then, you know, like the Latino station, and then there's like then there was like hard rock that was like, wasn't it like the Eagle or something?
Yeah, the Eagle.
Do you remember that? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no, no nose prints on the lens. Buddy.
Well, also like knocking the whole thing over. The Eagle I never...
And do not put your little
really
cat
liked.
Butthole, right?
I'm just trying to like move on and pretend this isn't happening. Will you just come sit? You're so cute. That's even worse.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was like my backup. My go-to was 102.1 The Edge.
Yeah, 102.1 The Edge. That was like what we listened to.
I mean, that was like the absolute perfect music for like a 13, 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Because they would play things like Yellow, like Coldplay Yellow, and Weezer, and Radiohead, and okay. Oh my God! Get out of here!
He is out of control. Literally, he's just like biting everything.
The laptop screen.
Have you seen the picture of like? Yeah. And there's plenty of pictures of like the cat. Or it's like a GIF or a video, the cat like rubbing up, and he goes and he bites it, and it just like punctures it, and the whole screen goes black.
Yeah, like you think it's funny, and then that happens. So,
or like the guy, and I think that this is probably combining memes. I don't think this is necessarily a laptop screen, but it's like he goes and he puts he holds like a ruler or measuring tape up to his cat's like fangs and marks them, and then he's like putting it up against all the stuff where you can see exactly like where he's bitten everything.
You're like, wait, now I know these are all him. Cats are so ridiculous. God, it's taking me so long to tell stories tonight.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hate this term, but I cut my teeth on 102 The Edge. And there were a few DJs, but Josh was the DJ. Everybody loved Josh. He didn't annoy anybody. There were a couple of other DJs that I was just I cannot stand her and her voice and her style. She picked pretty good music. It was just oh.
Just chewing on electrical cords. These cats. These producers. He's not satisfied with the AV setup, so he's trying to destroy it.
He will be back. Oh my God, this is getting so annoying. I'm about to just give up on this story. Anyway, he helped me with developing a love of music. In addition to Ron Chapman, which my mom always listened to, and that was more old school stuff, gave me an appreciation for Chicago and Fleetwood Mac at a really young age.
Yeah.
And so one night we were sitting around having a drink and we were talking, and I was like, Josh is out there.
Yeah.
And Josh, if we were 14, he was probably 25 to 30.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't so now what's the math? I already lost track of where it was.
14,
maybe 15 years older than us.
Yeah.
Because maybe he's pushing 50.
Yeah.
But I'm everybody has social media now. So I look on Instagram and I had to look up his full name and I found it somehow. And I find an account and I'm pretty confident it's him. And so I messaged him on Instagram and was like, is this the Josh from 102 The Edge? Remember the Adventure Club? I actually hated the Adventure Club.
Yeah, because they'd play more obscure music. Yeah.
They wouldn't, it was exploratory. It wasn't.
There were sometimes you'd hear something good on there, but it's just when NPR or the KERA or one of the local stations
and
does.
I'm play Stellar, play Incubus.
Yeah, play Incubus.
But he answered me, and I was so excited, especially since we had a couple of drinks, and he's just yes, ma'am, it is. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
And so we had a nice little interaction.
Yeah.
He was like, I genuinely love it when people reach out and tell me this. So thank you.
That's funny.
But it was nice.
I mean, yeah, there were so many. And I remember, and this was probably, and this is getting too much into Dallas local
this
radio
is very
station
Dallas
lore.
edition.
But
I love the word lore.
In general, it's before it was 102.1, it was 94.5.
My sister had a bumper sticker on her window.
Yeah.
And it was the Old Edge, call sign, numbers, whatever.
I think it was 94.5.
Yeah.
And I remember being in 5th grade and listening to The Edge on my stereo, the CD player, 2 speakers on the side stereo.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was probably 9 p.m. It
Were you
felt
making a mixtape?
Super late. And I called in and requested a song.
Oh my God. Remember the excitement of doing that?
And I can't remember it was probably something stupid.
Oh my God, what was it?
I have no fucking idea.
Come on, one guess. What would you have asked? I would have asked for, I know exactly what I would have asked for, actually. I'll let you go first.
I mean, me, 5th grade or something, it was probably something like Lit or something, you know what I mean? Something that was on the radio anyway, you know what I mean?
Right, give it 10 minutes, they'll play it again.
It wasn't 9 Inch Nails or, anything
5th grade you, okay. Yeah.
Or and we have we talked about old school first albums and stuff here?
No, that's always in professional settings, weirdly.
But yeah, I called in and it was just funny. It's you, in retrospect, you know that she knew that I was 9 years old.
Oh,
you know
so
what
cute.
I mean?
Yeah, your little voice.
Yeah, and what are you doing? Yeah, and but
Sure.
also who called into the? I guess a lot of people called into the radio station back then.
Oh my God, no, it was totally normal.
Yeah.
Laura and I used to do it all the time.
But yeah, my thinking of my the albums that I owned, and it was a lot of it was stuff that when you're that age.
Are we still in 5th grade?
5th grade, younger even. Even when I was younger, my mom would take us to the record store or the tape store.
What are the names of record stores? Virgin Records was a really cool one. But there was one that was more local.
There was one that in Dallas that was Bill's Records and Tapes or something like that.
Yeah, there's another one. I can't think of it though.
And there was another one. Yeah. But we would go and it's like, oh, you can pick out any, CD or cassette, like early days, like cassette tape, later on CDs.
Yeah.
And like, you're like 6 or 7 years old. You're just walking around and like your mom picks it out for you. You know what I mean? Or it's like, well, why don't you, like, I think I had,
but if you took a 9 Inch Nails album to your mom, even at that age, she'd be like,
yeah, absolutely get that.
Love Trent Reznor.
Okay. But I think I had like the Jay Giles band.
I don't even know.
Like, they have a song that is like recognizable.
94.5.
Nice.
My old ass siblings know the answer.
The Jay Giles band and like in excess and like all these things that like I had never heard of before.
Wait, like the letters?
Yeah.
But they're saying in excess?
It's like INXS. And like a lot of these, they're like,
super lame.
Late 80s, early 90s bands that like if you heard them, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I've heard that song before. But they're not like, they haven't stood the test of time. But like I had all these tapes and CDs. I did have, speaking of like the Edge alternative radio station, before they were like big, it must have been before they were big, like one of their earliest albums, whatever was the blue album cover.
Nirvana?
No. Weezer.
Oh yeah, and then they did a green one.
Yeah. They were at Bill's Records and Tapes. signing and stuff like that.
Never told me that.
By that time, this was the era. It must have been like when I was in 4th or 5th grade, or maybe even younger. But this was the era when I was like a young grade school kid with a shaved head, because my mom, again, like we talked about that. My mom like probably got scared of lice, so she just shaved all our heads,
but not her own.
Yeah. Well, we were the ones going to school, I guess, but
that'd be really weird if she shaved her head too. I'm glad she didn't.
But so you like one of the guys from Weezer like rubbed my head and was like, "Hey, cool haircut." And I had like a signed.
You've ever told me this?
I had a signed Weezer poster.
The like blue one, right?
The blue one, yeah. And it was signed by all the guys, and of course, like it ended up like crumpled up and destroyed in the bottom of my closet because I didn't like.
Because you were like 11 years old.
Yeah, I didn't like appreciate the value of it. It was just like, and it's probably in like it's probably gone by now.
Well,
like,
of course it's gone by now.
I don't even think it's like in a box folded up somewhere in an attic at my mom's house or something like that. It's like fully destroyed. But yeah, like I can picture it in my head. But
that's disappointing. Idiot.
Yeah, what
11-year-old.
But yeah, I had like that and like Hello Nasty by the Beastie Boys was like one of my
That
first.
is an amazing album.
Yeah, fucking awesome. I remember listening to, but that countered with Kid Rock.
Ew, I hate Kid Rock. I have never liked Kid Rock. I'm sorry. It's funny because like thinking about growing up as the youngest of 4, my sister's 7 years older than me. So like when I'm 10, this age that you're talking about, she's 17. Right. So, take that back a couple years even. I'm 8, she's 15. And Morgan was very like, I don't know if this is typical first child behavior, but it was very like borderline rebellious. And like, I think she wanted to seek out the edgy and like questionable for her age. Like she loved 9 Inch Nails from like a very early age. And I think she did some like school report on Trent Reznor and the teacher was really concerned. And I think my parents were like, fuck off, lady.
Also, like, not a concerning personality.
No, not at all. I guess, he's amazing.
Some of the lyrics are, like,
very,
like, angsty at the time in the early 90s and stuff, but
Yeah, it's, like, not understanding that Rage Against the Machine is about the machine that is, like, government, not, like, a fax machine. But Morgan would listen to stuff like 9 Inch Nails and Beastie Boys. Like, Beastie Boys is her favorite. Like, she had all these, like, shirts and all the CDs and everything, like, Bjork and Tori Amos and Fiona Apple. Yeah. And I think she genuinely loved them. I'm not saying she didn't, but like Morgan kind of directed for me and my brothers, like what the cool factor was. Yeah. So we would want to listen to it too. And like we would steal her Beastie Boys shirts and wear them to school. But like we didn't exactly listen to that music. It was more about like, oh, our sister is 17 and she, she listens to this. It's very cool. That reminds me too. I remember being in middle school waiting to be picked up because my parents wouldn't like me walking, but like you could make that walk in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But I had to cross a major road that had a crosswalk and a stoplight, but they still were like, don't do that.
Our house when I was in middle school was like probably a 5-minute walk from the school. It was like immediately next.
And did you walk?
Yeah.
No, see, like we couldn't.
I walked basically until senior high school, where like it was impossible. It was like cross town.
Yeah.
It was like a 20-minute drive.
Like my elementary school was that far, and then my high school was too far to walk. But junior high was like not that far.
Elementary school, I bet if we walked it, it's probably shorter than the walk we take every day.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it was because like you're smaller, you know, like
exactly.
a little kid. It felt like a really long walk.
Yeah.
And I can picture every step of the way along it.
Honestly, like I get it now though. Like if I were a parent, especially today, I'd be like, "You're not walking? Are you kidding me?" Like I would rearrange my whole schedule to like pick my kid up every day. Like
I was about to like outline all of the different walks to different schools, but that's unnecessary. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
No need. Anyway, I remember like waiting outside of my junior high, and like kids would just like mill around waiting for rides, like all the time.
It was almost like
teachers would be gone.
Cool to wait outside of school. Yeah. Like I remember, like I lived. Will lived a 2-minute walk from my house. So like my best friend in middle school.
I forgot he was so close to
like, you. Like literally like down the alley, like super close. So he was. If my house was a 5-minute walk, his was like a 4-minute walk from the school. And like we would hang out outside the school.
Yeah, it was just cool, like, especially when you're that age. Yeah. Like I remember. So middle school for me anyway, was 3 years, 6, 7, 8. And then 9 through 12.
Yeah.
And was yours different that you would do 9 and then 10 to 12?
Yeah, our school was
or 9 and
6,
10.
7, 8.
Yeah.
And then it was junior high, which was 9 and 10.
So what'd you call 6, 7, 8?
Middle school.
That's junior high.
No, middle school, junior high school was 9 and 10. And then senior high school was 11, 12.
See, we just did elementary school, kindergarten through 5th, and then junior high / middle school 6 through 8, and then high school 9 through 12.
Yeah.
Weird. And like we grew up in the same city, but different like towns, and it's that different. That's so weird to me. Yeah. Although the high school I went to changed to, there's like a freshman center.
Yeah.
And honestly, in hindsight, I remember loving this. So my nephew went to my high school, and he told me that they built a freshman center. And I was like, thank God. 18-year-old boys do not need to be dating 14-year-old girls.
Well,
and we were
in totally different schools. So like,
exactly.
Which is weird, you know, and like,
but like separate the four. And they were, you know, it's weird. And like, it was common.
And it's probably really like more of a population thing in the city. Like,
no, I know that's why.
City that you're in. And like Plano had probably a lot more people in Kelton, so they split.
Yeah.
But
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's really gross to me. Looking back on it, I'm like, don't do that. If I had an 18-year-old son and he was dating, okay, let's say he was 17 turning 18. Yeah. He's dating a girl that just turned 14 a few months ago. I'd be like, absolutely not. You are way closer to being an actual legal adult than she is. She's not. No.
Right.
And it was, anyway, gross. Where were we?
The Edge.
Morgan's music choices.
Yeah.
I just remember being picked up from school in like 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah.
I had an MP3 player.
Oh, nice.
And I actually think I have it somewhere.
Yeah.
Because my mom is a big saver. Like she saves everything. So there's no chance of like there being a box of stuff in my closet from childhood that she threw away. It's somewhere. And I'm pretty sure it's still there. And like, you know, it has like the headphone jack. But it had like a little screen and I could like plug it into the computer and load it with music.
Yeah.
And like I remember,
it's like how it worked back then. It wasn't connected to the internet or anything.
Right, it's just on this
thing. Had to sync it. Yeah,
it's like a USB. It's like a big USB with a screen.
That's basically what it was.
So weird. But I do remember vividly listening to like Dire Maker, which is a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
In 7th grade and like loving it. Like I listened to that music and enjoyed it. And I think I probably liked like Sabotage by Beastie Boys, but nothing else. Like I didn't listen to the rest. Or Paul Revere. I did like Paul Revere.
By 7th grade, I was listening to like 9 Inch Nails, KMFDM.
KMFDM's pretty intense.
Marilyn Manson, like Tool and A Perfect Circle and stuff like that. Like,
see, I liked the one song The Edge would play by A Perfect Circle, which was...
I can hear it too.
I'm blinking. Wait, don't say it. When you think of it, don't say it.
Yeah.
It's not. No.
I can't think of it.
I can hear it perfectly.
I don't fucking know. I'm gonna have to look it up.
No, don't do it. Don't tell me. I'm gonna think of it.
It's
It's literally
because I don't want to sit here thinking of a name.
Tip
of
the tongue syndrome. I'm just asking you not to say
Yeah.
it. And you're going to.
I'm gonna say.
You're gonna forget yourself, and you're gonna say it. Oh, I got it.
You got it.
3 Libras.
Yes. Oh, and Judith was another.
Judith is the one I was thinking before.
Yeah.
That one's more intense. But man, 3
Yeah.
Libras is one of those songs that when you're like 16 years old, you're very just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like those like characters on Instagram that are like our teenage selves who get very dramatic. But it's like, we were super dramatic. And you look back as a 35-year-old and you're like,
I remember
you have nothing to be dramatic about. Stop it.
The age when you had your MP3 player already, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I remember still walking around with like the CD player in my backpack.
The like zippered pack?
No, not even a zipper pack. It was just like flat CD player.
Right. Yeah.
With the headphone into my backpack, and every time you'd like bounce too much, it would skip. And like I had like Linkin Park in there or whatever. And
what was the one song that everybody loved? Crawling in My Skin or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember walking around junior high, and this was like, okay, so as a girl, 6th grade is just like you're nerdy, you're quiet, you're scared, you're just going to class, right?
Well, I think that's everybody.
Right.
Like,
Fair enough. Well, the rest might not be the same for girls and boys. 7th grade was horrific popularity contest. Girls are so awful. Like you want to meet the meanest people you've ever met in your life. It's 7th grade girls.
Yeah.
And then 8th grade, I found my people. We liked Incubus and Beastie Boys and Nine Inch Nails, and we didn't care. And that's when I discovered wearing like hoodies.
Oh yeah.
And you had the MP3 player in your pocket, and then you cut a little hole so that your headphones, and you just had like the little earbud, not the big thing or like the over the head thing. It was just like an earbud.
Yeah.
And you just
when there was like earbuds that had wires on them, which is like I can't even imagine.
That's not even that old of technology, really. Like Apple switched from that a few years ago.
Time, I remember like talking about 6th grade. I think like my progression through that was like 6th grade. It was weird. It's weird going to 6th grade because like all of your friends from elementary school, and then there's like this entirely new school merging for the first time. You're like, who the fuck are all these
other
people?
Elementary schools are also coming. It's like 2 or 3 merging, and then you also got the 7th and 8th graders who are scary and older and cool, and like they're 13.
Like when I was younger, in like elementary school, my best friend Nick was actually like from a different school.
Nick, whose wedding we went to.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God, his mom loves you.
Yeah.
So cute.
They were in a different elementary school. And so like the only reason I knew him is because his dad's name is the same
Stephen
as
Brown.
my dad's name.
Brown Pern, excuse me.
So somehow we got their mail, or they got our mail.
That's so cute.
Which is weird. And so like we became, and like they were like, oh, our kids are the exact same age. So like we became.
Did they live
like
nearby?
My best friends. It was, nearby, but like they actually lived closer to where my mom's house is now than where we lived then. So
Nick Brown.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. And so like I kind of like knew of the other other school, you know what I mean? Like, cause I knew him, and like, going to his birthday parties, there'd be all these kids. So like I kind of knew some of those kids already.
You had like a leg up.
Yeah. And then like you go into 6th grade and suddenly there's all these people, all of like the social circles are upended because it's all of a sudden there's all this competition. I remember 6th grade, you're
not supposed to be on the couch.
You get your locker for the first time,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
And I remember, and also it's like, there's like this weird like dating scene that pops up in 6th, 7th grade, like
I thought about this fairly recently. Yeah.
And I
felt
remember,
like you had to pick someone to like.
Well, and this is funny because like my first girlfriend, well, actually I probably had a girlfriend in elementary school that was like a girlfriend, but like this girl, it was like classic like movie scenario. It was like some other girl that I wasn't even friends with was like, oh, you should ask Kelly to be your girlfriend. And I was like, what? okay. And so
You're
like I
look at me.
I put a piece of paper in her locker or whatever, and I think we dated for a day.
Oh my God.
And then my other locker story from 6th grade. This is like the first day of 6th grade.
Okay, sorry.
First day of 6th grade. And I don't know how this happened. He must have moved because like he lived right next door to me practically. No, Will. Oh. But like I didn't know who he was. We didn't go to the same elementary school.
Wait, this is when you met Will?
Yeah. And it was basically like his locker was like one over from mine.
Yeah.
And like I think he was like, "Hey, have you ever played this video game before?"
Oh
and
my God, it's so cute.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I actually recently started playing. It's so cool." And he's like, "Do you want to come over to my house after school and play?" And then like that, and then that became my only friend for the next like 6 years.
Boys are so much easier.
There was no like popularity contest or anything like that. Yeah.
What's his last name?
Burgess.
Wow, I did not have that in my head. Is that Brown Burgess?
Yeah.
That's why you were so close to each other?
Yeah, B's. Like, it was alphabetical.
I was always number 17 in my elementary school classes. Remember getting numbers?
No.
Really?
We didn't get numbers.
We always had numbers. It was alphabetical order or like cubbies. Remember those?
No. Yes, I do remember cubbies.
Do you know what I love when I think about junior high?
What? I'm just checking the time.
Oh. Yeah. I tried that last time and you're like, it's not a timestamp. Did you just drop your phone?
Yeah, I had changed it so it is actually accurate.
You know how I feel about phones.
She hates
dropping.
when people drop phones.
Spencer, especially on planes, it is so fucking jarring. I cannot stand it. By the way, I have a follow-up episode to the travel episode, but I will wait.
Oh my God, she's traveled again.
I will wait. I have been on a plane. Yeah. Oh my God. I almost got started and I'm not going to get started. Okay. Thinking back on junior high if we were age 11 to 13 in junior high, my junior high, 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah. 12 to 14, something like that. That was 23 years ago. We did not have cell phones.
No.
I got my first cell phone at age 14.
I think I got mine in 9th grade.
Mine was 9th. Yeah, 9th grade. And like I was working after school as a trainer. Like I had a little bit of a reason to need to be more
You were working after school at the school as a trainer in 9th grade?
Yeah. Freshman year, I became a trainer. I was a trainer for 8 years. Yeah. 9 through 12 and then
after
all of college.
After school in 9th grade, two things happened. One, no, just kidding.
I was going to say, I don't think the podcast is a good venue for that story.
I did not do that until much later.
Okay, seriously, no, we're not going there.
No. One, I have like two distinct memories of after school 9th grade because that was like the school was a little farther. We would drive there.
Wait, 9th grade, you're at Plano East?
No, this is junior high.
So you're breaking my brain with that.
Yeah,
that's like people saying turn the air conditioning down. I don't know what you want.
High School or something like that.
That's ninth grade.
9th and
freshman year. Okay.
Yeah, freshman and sophomore, we were at another school. It was a little bit farther, but like still pretty close to where we lived at the time.
You're not the big cool school yet.
But I was in ROTC, and after school.
I'm sorry. You
knew that, right?
Yes. You have to pause. You have to give me a minute to laugh. But you also have to explain it because I think a lot of people don't know what that means.
It's like, so basically, again, just like the theme of my life is like, and what we were just talking about with music even, like my older brother, which also makes absolutely no sense, was in ROTC. And so I was like, oh, that's the cool thing to do. And there was this whole drama, this whole thing that I went through, and I won't get into it, but ROTC was basically like, it's like kind of like military class,
which I find very odd. It was never the cool kids, and I'm sorry,
no,
but like it was always nerdy
there
kids, and they were like
some cool kids.
Yeah, but like, what's the purpose?
I mean, it's like there's a lot, like I would do it again. You know, only because it's like it teaches you kind of like a disciplinary thing, and not that they were like disciplinary, but like there's structure and like you're part of like your company and your unit and whatever else, and like you don't get to pick those people. It's not like you're in your clique and like, oh, we're a group and now we have to operate together kind of thing.
That's actually not unlike my sorority in college.
Yeah.
But
like
we had to be friends and we became friends and we are still friends.
And but like after school I would do PT, which is funny.
Physical therapy.
Like
I
training.
Know it can't be what that means.
I think it was like physical training.
Okay.
But like we would go on the bus after school. We'd get on the bus with like the ROTC instructor guy, and we'd go to the senior high school or like to like the park, like what's the fucking lake? White Rock. And like run.
That's far. That's around not East Plano. That's
the lake, or
Dallas.
like we'd have to do like strength and all this other stuff, like weightlifting and all this other stuff. So that was actually like the first time I ever like worked out, which is kind of funny to think about.
It was a few years before you took that seriously.
Yeah. And then the other second thing was like I remember like I had my Nokia brick phone by now, and my older brother messaged me because I think he was in the like special program that he was in by then, where he didn't even go to school. Like he was in senior high school.
That's so AJ.
He would have been, because he would have been a senior if I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And he was in the special program where like he would basically go into not even the main, he wouldn't go into Plano East by then. He was going to like an alternate campus. He would get all of his assignments and he would complete them, and then he would be free to leave.
What was the thing called when you were in high school and you could like go do like craft? It was almost like an apprenticeship kind of thing. There was a term for it.
I don't know.
Like you'd go to
like shop? I don't know.
I'll text my girlfriend and see what she says.
But this was more of like a hardship thing. Like you basically had to apply for it, and like you had a job, and you were working, and like you needed an alternate thing. But which he was working full time practically when he was a senior in high school. But I remember he was at home because like he had already finished his stuff and he wasn't working that day or something. And he messaged me. He was like, Final Fantasy 11 got here, and I like literally like ran home. I was like,
that's so cute.
I remember because I had
nothing else matters.
I had PT with ROTC that night, and I was like dodging people, like I'm not going.
Yeah.
And I still fucking play that game.
You do, like now, at 35 years old, professional working man, homeowner. Yeah. You still play that same game. Yeah. But I love thinking back on that era because it's kind of like what we talked about when we talked about Seinfeld. Like, if they wanted to see each other and spend time together or talk, you could call the landline, maybe catch them. Yeah. Maybe you didn't. Alternatively, you just show up. Right. At their house. And so for us as, 11 to 14-year-olds, there's no texting. You don't have cell phones to talk to people. You had your AOL Instant Messenger away status. That was like the latter years too. Like think about like 6th, 7th grade. You don't remember what we did? I had AIM in 6th grade. Maybe. But in school, while you're in class, passing notes. Yeah. And you would know your friend's locker. And so sometimes you would like, it was always about like folding it into a cool shape. It was never just folded. I wasn't part of that culture. Those are girls that did this. Okay. Boys didn't do this. Yeah. Girls did this, and like we would like fold the note either into like a cool. I do remember girls folding notes. Tucked into like a hexagon shape, or like the football thing your brothers play with or whatever. And like you either pass notes in class, obviously, or like in the hall because you had no classes together. So that was the only way. And literally, I'm pretty sure I still have these because again, I kept all of them because it was kind of like, why throw them away? Right. And now that I'm like an adult, like officially an adult, I think I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm really glad I kept those because here's what would happen. You get a fresh piece of paper, right? Because we carried around like notebooks. Oh yeah, you had to carry around notebooks. You had like a notebook for each class, and like you got like a spiral notebook. So you'd start a note to your best friend, and then you'd pass it to them. They would respond. Yeah, it was like a text. I remember doing that as well. Like, but all day you'd pass it back and forth, and like at the end of the day, you have this whole sheet that's like a conversation. Yeah, and like, what were we talking about? Who knows? It's funny though, like what you just said, like in my nostalgia searches we were talking about earlier in the episode, like
Yeah, we should wrap up.
I can't tell what we're
over time. An hour and 15 already. Drinks are empty.
Yeah, this is the sign. I'm telling you, when these are gone, it's enough time.
But like, you go through stages. Like when you hit like 20, late 20s, mid 20s, you're like, fuck all of that. Get rid of it. Burn it. I don't want that.
Oh no, yeah, exactly.
Anymore.
You know, and you're wrong. Yeah. You're so wrong.
And then when you get to like mid 30s, you're like, fuck, I wish I had that. Because like you're past the embarrassment.
Yeah. Oh, I don't care anymore.
You're so disassociated with like younger you as a person. You're like, that kid was a fucking idiot.
No, yeah, because like you reach that point too, and especially like with important relationships in your life. Like one of my best friends is someone that I worked with for a really long time. And like we don't now, but we will again soon, hopefully. I will tell her anything. Like I don't care because I think it's funny now. Yeah. Like you're not, I don't know. Like it's not gonna
well, I'm not embarrassed
damage
about
my
middle
reputation.
School me being like a little weirdo goth
no, but even
nerd
stuff,
kid.
No, even stuff I do now.
But like
there's weird stuff we do now, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell him because it's funny.
Well, and when we're 55 or 65 and these recordings are on the internet, we can reassess that statement.
Well, I'm going to find those notes.
Yeah.
I've asked my sister and she's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still there. Like, don't worry.
Wow.
But I'm going to find them and I'm going to find a great example and I will share it because I think it's funny. And I think it's interesting to look back on 25 years ago. What were 12-year-old girls worried about and talking about day to day? Not the shit we worry about now, I'll tell you that much. This is Hypercritical.
Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. And thank you to all our patrons.
He tried to say Patreons and patrons at the
Thank
same
you
time.
to Patreon for allowing us to have patrons. I actually set up a Patreon.
Don't ask people for money yet.
I'm not advertising it at all. But I didn't want somebody else to take ours. So that's
smart.
why I set it up.
Yeah.
But I did want to thank all of our patrons as they scroll up the screen. All of our wonderful patrons, like this guy right here.
I'm glad the world is starting to get a sense of the ridiculousness that is Spencer. And no one knows this about you. No one. But now they do. Why does he insist? No, I'm assuming we're wrapped and we're done.
Hypercritical.
No, we already did that like 3 times.
Thanks for joining.
I did it once. Do you know when I was in 5th?
Should we try out a few like closers?
Wait, listen. You never listened.
Peace out and thanks for joining.
No one is saying that's not a thing. When I was in 5th, stop it. Listen to me. When I was in 5th grade at Camp Klassen, I did some like thing with the like parents to like, well, what would your job be? What would I would be a radio host.
Oh.
And they were like, you have a great radio voice. But you know, on SNL, Molly Shannon and the other woman, they do the one where they have like the radio show and everything is super sexual.
Oh yeah.
But they're not intentionally doing that. But they have Betty White on and they're talking about her muffin. They're like, it's surprisingly yeasty.
Oh
I mean that in a good way, but that like low voice, like, I want to like fake do that.
I forgot about that. I like how you're like, I assume we rap, but let's both talk into our microphone.
Oh no, like I don't, Spencer, we're cutting this part.
I'm not cutting this.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Yes, you are.
I don't cut.
It's not your podcast. It's
not cut until I
You
stop
think it's your gym and your house and your podcast.
Whenever both the audio
What'd you say
and
recently?
the video.
You were like, you said something like that.
Like my cat.
Fuck you. That's the one I would kill. No, you would be in very big trouble. Absolutely not.
All right. Thanks for joining. This has been Hypercritical. Peace out.
What's that noise? Is he under the couch?
No, he's trying to get into your notebook.
My notebook's upstairs, so joke's on him.